quick gut check. Go to your last book right now and scroll to the last pages. Do you have a clean, enticing offer? Or is it like 5 links, 3 call to actions, and you basically vomiting every link you have on them? If it's the second one, you're not alone, but you are leaving money on the table because that page shows up at the exact moment that your reader trusts you the most. But most authors treat this like an afterthought instead of the highest converting page in their whole sales funnel. So here's the thing. I have an executive MBA, and before I coached authors, I spent more than 15 years in business strategy, including building sales systems for companies where we'll just wing it really wasn't an option. Sales has rules, real rules, and every sales page, every email, every call to action should follow the same handful of principles, whether you're selling software or shoes or book 3. And nobody probably ever taught you these rules, but your Backmatter is a sales conversation, whether you've designed it like that or not. So today I'm going to walk you through the Backmatter strategy, and I want to incorporate traditional sales best practices. So let me start with a reframe because this is where most of the mistakes come from. Most authors think of Backmatter as an afterthought or just part of their checklist. Like, I finished the book, now I'm going to slap some links on the end of it. So it gets treated like admin, not like a strategy. But think about the moment your reader actually arrives to your Backmatter. They didn't just stumble on you. They found you, they read your entire book, and they liked it enough to get to the last page. Now, in sales terms, that's not a cold lead. That's not a warm lead. That is a hot lead in a buying window. And you maybe have about 15 seconds of their attention before they close the app and move on with their life. Now, there's a real sales principle for what you do with that attention, and the first one I want to talk about is WIIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me. People don't act just because you have a lot to offer. They act because you've made it obvious what they get out of the next click. So join my newsletter answers nothing and is mostly just self-serving for you. But find out exactly what happens next in the epilogue. It's free right now. Answers everything. Every line in your Backmatter should pass the WIIFM test before it earns a spot on the page. And that's the entire job of Backmatter, not list everything I've got. One offer made well that answers what's in it for them. Now, here's the mistake I see over and over again. Backmatter trying to do 12 things at once. And there's a sales and user interface principle for exactly this problem. So it's called Hick's law. The more choices you put in front of someone, the longer it takes them to decide, and the more likely they are to decide nothing at all. So every link in your Backmatter isn't adding an option, it's adding hesitation. So in my opinion, your Backmatter should prioritize one of 2 main good ideas. Sell the next book or capture an email address, not both in the same breath. Now, there are actually, with these 2 sales goals, they're pulling readers in very different directions. So you do have to answer this question. Would I rather this reader buy or read the next book right now? Or would I rather have their email address so I can market to them forever? And that is not a rhetorical question. And it can change based on where you are in your catalog. So if you've got a finished series sitting there ready to binge, it might be best to send them straight to book 2, an immediate next step while the momentum's still hot. If your next book isn't out yet, perhaps don't ask them to go pre-order into a void. Maybe give them something they can have right now. A lead magnet, prequel, bonus story, and capture their email. Then the day the next book releases, you can go back and swap the Backmatter to point straight at it. And this is how a sales page works. The offer changes based off of what you actually have to sell at the time. And a Backmatter that tries to do both, capture their email address and get them to move to the next book, usually does neither well. And that is Hick's law again. Now, once you've decided your one offer, the next job straight out of the sales playbook is making it as easy as physically possible to say yes. Now, this is a real principle referred to as the path of least resistance. People don't take the best option. Usually they take the easiest one. So if your Backmatter is technically great, but annoying to act on, it loses. So if your Backmatter says click here and someone's holding a paperback, that's just dead on arrival. There's nothing to click. Or if your links are broken, or if the URL is some 44 character tracking string that nobody can type into a phone, you've just added a chore between the reader and the thing that you want them to do. And chores will kill conversions. Now, a few Backmatter friction killers worth building in. Use a clean, easy to type URL for anything a print reader might need to type by hand. And QR codes are genuinely underused in print books. So scan to read a sample, scan to join the list. If you're asking them to click to read an epilogue on their phone, deliver it with as few clicks as possible, not to a website, which then takes them to a BookFunnel landing page, to a double opt-in with an email coming in 10 minutes later that finally delivers the thing. Now, a quick one, but this matters more than a lot of people think. There's a sales principle called primacy and recency. So people remember what they see first and what they see last far better than anything in the middle. And that's why the first line of an email or the opening slide of a pitch gets disproportionate weight. That means your one CTA shouldn't be buried in page 3 of a more from this author list. It needs to be the first thing they see when they land on the Backmatter, or the very last line before everything ends, and ideally both. If it's sandwiched in the middle of a paragraph about your Patreon and a vague join my newsletter list, it's gonna get lost because that is literally how attention works. The next sales principle is one you already know from literally every product page you've ever bought from: social proof, used to reduce the risk of saying yes. So if someone's about to hand over an email address, an unspoken question that's running in the back of their head is, what am I actually signing up for? Am I about to get emailed every single day? Once a month? Is this going to be worth it? So if you don't answer that, fewer people will sign up. Not because they don't want the free story, but because the ask feels vague, and vague feels risky. So spell it out. I email twice a month with new releases and behind the scenes stuff. And that one sentence reduces the risk more than another exclamation point ever will. Then stack social proof on top of it. When we're asking anybody to take action, we reduce their risk further by showing them that other people already did it and it worked out well. So a Backmatter that says join my reader group is okay, but a Backmatter that says join 4,000 readers getting early access to new releases is doing actual sales work. So specificity is trustworthy and vagueness is not. So here's your homework, and it's the same checks that I run through every author's Backmatter. And the first one is the WIIFM. Does this offer say what's in it for the reader, not just what you're offering? Hick's Law, 1 primary CTA, call to action, not 12. Path of least resistance, meaning clean links, QR codes for print, no hunting required. Primacy and recency. So if you're going to provide multiple links, use your primary CTA as both the first and the last ask. And then finally, social proof. Make them know that they're not the first person doing this, and possibly include like a brief review for a lead magnet or your newsletter. So go pull up your last book's Backmatter tonight. I'll promise you'll find at least one thing on this list that you can fix in under 10 minutes, and it might just be the highest ROI 10 minutes that you spend on your book all month.